He's an actor. He's my best friend, a director, a producer, and a writer. And him and I go. He's my best friend. And this year he stars in HBO's The Deuce and in A24's The Disaster Artist, which looks pretty fucking amazing, which he directed. Indiewire Honors presents the Vanguard Award to James Franco. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Oh man, I wrote a little speech, but everyone's been talking like for 1 minute.
Take your time.
All right, I'll start it. If it's really lame, I'm just going to stop. All right, I want to thank Indiewire for this award, my friend and former editor, Eric Cohen. Full disclosure, I used to write movie reviews for Indiewire, but only for the most obscure movies. And I wrote as not only myself, James, I wrote as my shadow self as well, Samaj, which is James spelled backwards, if you didn't. And but there's no conflict of interest. I stopped writing reviews for things like Tickled, which is a very creepy documentary about tickle contests, and The Greasy Strangler, which is basically like Napoleon Dynamite with very fake prosthetic penises, and not too far from The Deuce, maybe. And and I like to think that I actually had early training for playing twins on The Deuce by writing as James and Samaj. So thank you, Indiewire, for that. Seth Rogen wrote a little something about me on Indiewire recently, saying I made him happier about his work. But basically, it's a story about he wrote how he came up with his joke, this immortal joke in Pineapple Express where we smell the weed, and I say, wow, it smells like God's vagina. And I guess that showed him, he didn't have the balls to say the line, so I took it and just said it, and it taught him, to have guts and go with his instincts and just say things. But when I read the article, I thought, wow, that's all about how I stole his joke. And then, but what I want to say is, I thought I was being honored for The Disaster Artist and The Deuce, but I guess it's just The Disaster Artist. But I just wanted to say with those two projects, the one thing I learned that's different from my whole career up until now is there was some smarter part of my brain that just said, you know what, why don't you just try and work with some people that know how to do this a little better than you do. And I asked David Simon to do the show with him because I knew I would be responsible to one of the best producers in television. And I asked Seth and his company Point Grey to produce The Disaster Artist because I knew they knew how to work with studios and still make the movies that they wanted to make. And both of those groups guided me all along the way. And so I owe so much to them. And finally, my brother's here tonight. He's in the movie with me. I finally made a movie that wasn't too weird for him to star in. And so it was something he couldn't say no to. And I'm really happy to have made it with him as well. So thank you very much.